Nigeria, many thanks for choosing Newsline. I am Becky Madujemu. Great to be back with an impressive list of amazing stories from across the country. As it were, coronavirus is still a challenge the world is yet to overcome. There are new ways to almost everything, and education is not an exception. The new normal for pupils and students is predicated on technology. We will examine how the young ones are coping with the trend and the likely consequences. As always, the news must happen first. Take it away, Elizabeth Somori.
Thank you so much, Becky, and thanks for joining us on the news segment of the program. President Muhammadu Buhari this Sunday engaged members of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 on further measures to contain the pandemic as a 2-week extension of the ease of lockdown ends on Monday. The chairman of the task force, Boss Mustafa, who led the members, said feelers revealed that more segments of the economy may be reopened as the battle against the uncommon health challenge ravages on. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
Members of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 were in the State House to submit their 4th interim report as the nation intensifies efforts at controlling and containing the coronavirus pandemic. At the interactive engagement, President Muhammadu Buhari and the PTF delegation appraised the progress achieved in the last 2 weeks, challenges encountered, as well as available options on the best way forward.
As far as the work of the PTF is concerned, he was upfront with his commendation, and he assured us that the nation is fully behind us in the work that he has charged us to do. And he is also appreciative of the work of the frontline workers. And we also discussed the issues of compliance. And he said we should continue to appeal to Nigerians and drive home the point that it is a personal responsibility.
Is Nigeria winning this fight against COVID-19?
We are winning. We are winning. As a matter of fact, you just suppose the rate of cases with our fatality rates, which is basically about 3%. Other countries and other climes is over 10%. We have not reached the peak yet. And I wouldn't want to fool Nigerians by telling them that we are out of the woods. No, we are not out of the woods. As we even open up and accommodate more enterprises, because we are trying to have a balance between livelihoods and lives. There's a likelihood of the increase in cases, but that should not be a source of despair.
Although Nigeria now has close to 10,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19 and nearly 300 fatalities, some states are yet to be in tune with the reality of the situation. Apart from failing to cooperate with the NCDC as regards the containment drive, worship centers have also been reopened, by some of them contrary to the social distancing protocol.
That's part of what we have considered in its totality. I would await Mr. President's decision on that once I receive his approval going forward as to certain recommendations that we have put in place. But I can assure you about one thing, that the ownership of the next phase will be the responsibility of the states under national supervision and coordination. And it is very, very important we realize that no state can be an island unto itself. When you deal with public health matters, whatever happens in a particular locality has the consequences of spilling off to other constituencies. And that is the message that we continue to drive in our pursuit of getting everybody to be on board.
As the 2 weeks extension of the ease of COVID-19 lockdown ends on Monday, indications are that more segments of the nation's economy will be reopened.
After we receive Mr. President's approval tonight or tomorrow morning, we will now know which segment of the economy he has allowed to open.
Nigeria recorded her first index case of coronavirus on February 27, 2020. And since then, President Muhammadu Buhari, who is the champion of COVID-19 in West Africa and adjudged a role model for other nations by the World Health Organization, had addressed the nation 3 times. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Now to the global chart on COVID-19, the total number of coronavirus cases in the world stands at 60.98 million Sunday evening, including 3,069,847 deaths, according to Johns Hopkins University. The university says India is now the 8th most affected country in the world university tracker, with more than 1 million cases after a record daily jump of 8,380 new coronavirus cases. Mosques across Saudi Arabia reopened Sunday for the first time in more than 2 months, with worshippers ordered to follow strict guidelines to prevent, as Islam's holiest site in Mecca remained closed to the public. Similarly, the mosque in Saudi Arabia, Islam's holiest site outside of Saudi Arabia, also reopened for prayers for the first time since it closed in mid-March with little regards for social distancing. Meanwhile, Britain reached its 200,000 capacity testing target for coronavirus, including the means for 40,000 antibody tests a day, the government said on Sunday. And here in Nigeria, the Jigawa State chapter of the Nigeria Medical Association has confirmed the death of one of its members in Jigawa State, Dr. Nasri Adam, who died of coronavirus. The deceased, aged 36, was a staff of the Federal Medical Center, Birnin Kudu. He developed respiratory infection problems and was later confirmed to be coronavirus positive, leading to his death. Correspondent Abdullah Garba, Birnin Kudu, reports that this is the first medical personnel casualty recorded in Jigawa State under the COVID-19 phenomenon. For the federal government to thrive in its fight against the COVID-19 pandemic, efforts must be channeled towards assisting all states of the Federation in combating the disease. This is the position of the Cross River State government as the state gives update on its status. Justina Etim reports.
Despite the rising case of COVID-19 in the country, Cross River State remains the only state yet to report any confirmed case of the disease. However, the COVID-19 free status of the state has generated controversy, as the State Commissioner for Health says there is conspiracy and pressure from different quarters that the state is concealing cases of COVID-19.
As a state at this point, we want to clearly say we've fought a good fight. We have run our race.
Dr. Edu says the hype given to coronavirus by relevant authorities is undermining the management of other diseases, thereby jeopardizing the health of several Nigerians who are now afraid to visit health facilities.
I'm sure we were like the very first state in Nigeria that distributed 5,300 PPEs in January to both the teaching hospital, general hospitals across the state, primary health care centers, of course, the military, paramilitary, private hospitals.
The commissioner believes that if the federal government gives more assistance to the states, there will be the ability to meet its requirements in the area of testing, surveillance, and more. In Calabar, Justina Etam, NTA News.
Still on containment of COVID-19, as part of efforts to increase the capacity of Kano State government in the fight against coronavirus pandemic, a philanthropist has donated a more sophisticated COVID-19 testing machine. The equipment, Gene Expert presented to the Bayero University Center for Infectious Disease Research, is adjudged by experts to be faster and easier to operate. Lawat Salau Inua reports.
The donation of the medical equipment to the Bayero University Center for Infectious Disease Research, which was accredited by NCDC earlier in May this year to complement the existing COVID-19 testing centers in the state, is seen by many as the right step in the right direction. Receiving the items on behalf of the center, the Vice Chancellor of the University, Professor Ihuza Bello, appreciated the gesture, saying the machine will accelerate the success of the state in stemming the spread of the highly contagious disease.
Other advantage of the machine, as being explained by experts, is that it can be used to test for other infectious diseases such as TB. So to be very useful to the teaching hospital, to the Center for Researches into Infectious Diseases, not only COVID-19, but other types of infectious diseases.
This new machine can do 40 in a day. So when we put it side by our 270 test capacity, it is over 300 in a day. At least it is a step in the right direction, although we are still working towards increasing the capacity of the lab to do much more tests.
Representative for the philanthropist Salus Ibrahim Balarabi, who commended the efforts of the workers at the front line, said the support was born out of desire to save humanity and rid the state of the pandemic. Lawal Sallau Inwa, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Kano State Commissioner for Information, Malam Mohammed Garba, says 1,018 samples from suspected COVID-19 cases were submitted to the 3 testing centers in the state for testing between May 23 and 30. A statement released says, based on available data from the State Task Force on COVID-19, out of that figure, 72 were found to be positive. The statement adds that during the period, 881 of the samples tested came out negative, while 42 are on follow-up test. 28 have to be repeated. Malam Garba explains further that data on track of pending results from laboratories in Kano and National Reference Laboratory Abuja also indicates that Bayero University Kano Laboratory has the highest sample test, followed by Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital. The Commissioner calls on the public to always observe safety and prevention protocols. As part of activities marking the Nigerian Navy at 64, the Central Naval Command Bayelsa State has donated palliatives to Gudama APA community. Handing over the palliatives to the community, Flag Officer Commanding Central Naval Command says the gesture is a social responsibility to their host community. Chris Owibo reports.
Flag Officer Commanding Central Naval Command Yenegua Bayelsa State used the opportunity to emphasize the reality of the coronavirus disease and the need to stop the spread of the disease. He also used the medium to appreciate the leadership of the Agodama IPA community for the cordial relationship.
In line with the civil-military cooperation and as part of our corporate social responsibility, we are presenting these gifts to them to make them understand how that we know how they feel. And we will also urge them to know that the Nigerian Navy is a partner in security and a partner in the times of need.
For them to have chosen Agodama as a community, for them to share this palliative, we are very much happy.
We'll try our best to see to it that it's being shared to the right people.
The donation is part of the Navy's corporate social responsibility to their host communities. In Yenegua, Chris Owibo, NTA News.
Now to sectorial review of the present administration. Public analysts say being responsible is what makes leaders accountable and outstanding. The Nigerian economy under the present administration, experts say, has been on a steady growth. Correspondent Chimobi Walter Nadi takes a look at major economic highlights of the Buhari administration.
The Buhari administration entered with so much enthusiasm on ways to deliver on its change mantra, especially on the economy, which at the time was slipping into recession. The economic team put together by the administration came up with a blueprint aimed at serving as a short-term plan to reposition the economy for growth. Reviewing the implementation of the plan, which is expiring by December 2020, economic experts say it has seen the country's GDP remain on a positive growth from the fourth quarter of 2017 to the end of first quarter of 2020, despite the ravaging coronavirus pandemic.
You know, the ERGP was formulated as a sort of a medium-term plan, 2017 to 2020, isn't it? Yes. And it addressed several sectors, about 5 sectors. So, and of course, in most planning, it has to be costed. And so they have to bring in private sector angle too, to participate. So that's why the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan. You know, the federal government is also putting its own fund, but they expected a lot of private sector participation. And there's been a tremendous interest shown by the private sector investors from abroad, from Nigeria and what have you.
We have consistently have growth in our GDP up to this last quarter that has just passed, and I think that is quite commendable. Growth may not have been as was expected because ERGP had looked at having a 7% growth. But the important thing is that the growth itself had been very, very consistent.
Respondents also believe that some of the economic policies like the border closure, return to the budget cycle from January to December, and central bank interventions in both manufacturing and agricultural sectors are pointers to the administration's strive to make the Nigerian economy the strongest in Africa and one of the leading economies in the world.
The border closure was another nice punch on the Nigerian economy, a punch that helped the economy to revive and also boosted the non-oil sector, like I talked about earlier. The closure of the border, as at that point, was important to halt the influx of goods that were banned. Another area that the government has actually really done well in the last 1 year is with monetary policy management. If you look at exchange rates that was pegged at 305 to a dollar last year, was maintained.
You know that economic effects often take a lag. We will see the effects. Give it the lag time and the effects will begin to show up. But this time we still need to work hard. We still need to really dig our legs in the sand and try to put up our acts properly. We need, part of what we need to really do within the ERGP is to be innovative and creative.
With the assurance given by the presidential economic team to revamp the nation's economy, it is expected that by the end of the second tenure of the Buhari administration, Nigerians will heave a sigh of relief. In Abuja, I'm Chimubi Walter Naji, NTA News.
The 5 years of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration has reestablished Nigeria's position and influence within ECOWAS sub-region and globally, with successes recorded in security, economy and world politics, as well as the steering of the affairs of many international organizations by Nigerians. Haman Jabani takes a look at some of the diplomatic and international breakthroughs Nigeria experienced under President Muhammadu Buhari.
The need for Nigeria to be more involved in world affairs and improve its international relations in this era of globalization and the accompanying system of interdependence, saw President Muhammadu Buhari, believing that strengthening international relationships and delivering effective domestic policies will enable Nigeria to set up and play an increasingly vital role in maintaining peace and stability in Africa. Regaining its rightful place in the international community, which saw the country getting the position of Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, President of the UN General Assembly, President of the International Criminal Court, Secretary General of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, among other positions. Nigeria, under President Muhammadu Buhari in 2016, signed agreement on the identification and repatriation of illicit funds with the United Arab Emirates, engage other countries to ensure the repatriation of Nigeria's stolen assets.
For cooperation we have received in our effort to recover stolen funds. Our two governments have put the machinery in place for their respective attorney generals to collaborate in ensuring the return to Nigeria of over 500 million United States dollars of looted funds siphoned away in banks around the world.
Nigeria was one of those countries that signed on to the Global Forum on Asset Recovery Principle. And one of those principles is the inclusion of civil society in asset recovery negotiation process. That for me is something that is remarkable. And we also need to commend the President. And because of the engagement with civil society, it has really helped to convince the international community, particularly with the restitution of the Abacha theory.
The Buhari administration has mobilized international support for war against Boko Haram, forging strong partnership with the United States, the United Kingdom, France and Germany, ECOWAS, the AU, the UN, which made the country to finally agree to sell weapons to Nigeria, seeing the number of terrorist-related deaths in the country dropping by more than 80% since 2016 by Global Terrorist Index report of 2019, and freeing more than 16,000 hostages from captivity.
Nigeria is a valued partner and a good friend. I look forward to working closely with you to deepen our cooperation and forge an even closer partnership. The United States is committed to working alongside Nigeria as we seek a future of strength, prosperity, and peace. I especially want to thank President Buhari for Nigeria's partnership and leadership in the fight against terrorism. He's been a real leader.
They're so willing to really engage with us. And he kept on making the point that they're not looking for political gain. They're not looking to dominate any country economically, but it is just that's a sense of solidarity.
Nigeria joined the Open Government Partnership, participated in the London Anti-Corruption Summit and Commonwealth Conference on Tackling Corruption, but in 2016. The designation of President Muhammadu Buhari as the African Union Anti-Corruption Champion and West Africa's COVID-19 Champion shows great respect Nigeria is getting from the countries around the world.
I think that is a demonstration of the integrity that has been brought into office by the President and his administration, and the stature, the new stature, the recognition of the importance of Nigeria, not only in Africa, but globally, in terms of what the capacity that we have to do good in terms of global governance.
The leader today that we have in Nigeria is one the world has been waiting for. And because he has stepped forward to lead our country, Nigeria is seen in a new and a different, very positive light by the global community.
Experts say Nigeria's diplomatic and international relations has improved greatly in the last 5 years of Buhari's administration, and the last 3 years will cement that for the future. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
Into other news, the Buhari support organization Southeast has commended President Muhammadu Buhari for signing into law the financial autonomy of state houses of assembly and the judiciary using the Executive Order 10. The organization, in a statement after a virtual meeting in Enugu, maintained that Executive Order 10 has set a stage for genuine development at the local level. The Buhari Support Organization noted that the doctrine of true federalism is better served and indeed actualized when there is independent legislature and judiciary at the state level. It explained that the first-line charge funding of state legislatures and judiciary will in long time be a win-win situation for the collective good of strengthening institutions at all levels of government. And now to security. The air component of Nigerian military Operation Hadarin Daji has destroyed a bandit logistics warehouse roughly 5 kilometers north of Birnin Kogo in Zamfara State. A statement released by the Coordinator Directorate of Defense Media Operations, Major General John Enenche. The airstrikes were executed on May 30, 2020, sequel to human intelligence reports, later confirmed by a series of aerial surveillance missions. The Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, commends Operation Hadarin Daji for its effort and directs the air component to remain resolute in carrying out the strikes for restoration of normalcy to the northwest and north-central zones of the country. 10 passengers, including the driver of a commercial bus, have died in a fatal accident along the Benin-Auchi-Abuja highway. Eyewitnesses say the bus went up in flames, following a head-on collision with an articulated vehicle. Ifeoma Okafo has details.
This is the bus that collided with the trailer loaded with cement coming from Auchi. And according to eyewitness, 6 people were rescued, while 10, including the driver of this bus, were trapped inside this bus. The incident happened at Oga community in Uhunde local government area of Edo State. The driver of the bus with registration number Edo AUC 328XA was said to be overspeeding while trying to overtake a vehicle. He collided with the trailer, which burst into flames.
Now that bus is not wrong, because that bus it was trying to overtake. When this side is coming from, that bus is coming from this side, this side is coming from my outside side. So maybe the bus now wants to overtake. As you see that now, make it swap now, the trailer swap, now go down.
With the help of all this fire extinguisher, we now try to off the fire, but there's no way. We now try to rescue some people, and out of people we rescued was 6. There are 6 in numbers with severe injuries. There is only 1 female. Now we now give to some driver to take them to hospital.
The rescued passengers who sustained varying degrees of injury have been taken to hospital. At the time of filing this report, road safety officials could not be reached, but eyewitness account says they were earlier at the scene.
Make people guide control. That is the only thing we can do.
And now to sports. Borussia Mönchengladbach earned all 3 points at home in Sunday's Bundesliga clash against Union Berlin with 4-1 victory. Meanwhile, sports authorities around the world are making arrangements for gradual return to competitive sports. Amanda Marcus brings us details on sports updates.
Competitive sports at the domestic level resumes in the United Kingdom on Monday, so says Oliver Dowden, UK's Secretary of State for Digital, Culture, Media and Sport. First to benefit is horse racing and snooker, with competitions on Monday behind closed doors. The English Premier League, due to resume on June 17, announced 0 test results from the 4th round of testing for coronavirus, involving 1,130 samples. Across the leagues, 12 people have tested positive from 3,882 tests. Meanwhile, Cricket South Africa Acting Chief Executive Jacques Faure has welcomed government's decision Saturday, allowing training and playing of professional non-contact sport. According to him, the decision is a big boost for cricket as they meet on Monday to decide the way forward. In a related development, a select group of 13 Sri Lanka cricketers returns to training on Monday as part of plans to resume play after the coronavirus shutdown. Austria's Ministry of Health has given the go-ahead for Formula One to start its season with 2 races behind closed doors on July 5 and 12. Health Minister Rudolf Anschober said the event organizers presented a comprehensive concept to prevent infections. The Austrian Grand Prix circuit will hold in Vienna and was postponed from March due to the COVID-19 pandemic. With sports update, Manzi Marcus, NTA News.
The late retired Revered Samuel Olukunle Ajani, the pioneer bishop of Anglican Communion Egba West Diocese, has been buried amidst tears at the premises of St. Paul's Cathedral Church in Abeokuta, Ogun State. Muyiwa Omoumi tells us more.
The service, conducted in accordance with government regulations on COVID-19, was attended by dignitaries from all walks of life. The only Bible reading was taken from the book of John chapter 11, verse 25 to 31, and the message drawn from the passage reminded Christians to be prepared at all times, as death remains an inevitable end to all.
Jesus was not yet come into the town, but was in that place where Martha met him.
All we need to do is to behave like using our lifetime to serve the Lord with what we have.
Family members and friends reminisced about the deceased good life on air.
Having lived together for over 50 years, definitely life cannot be the same again.
I've learned so much. He was my mentor, and I'm going to miss him.
Such a giving man that he gave all. He gave all to us, the children, and gave all to the people that needed help.
The late Reverend Samuel Olukunle Achani died at the age of 79. An engineer and pioneer bishop, Diocese of Egba West Anglican Communion, he was also a former staff of Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN.
And that ends the news segment of the program. Becky will be back with more reports for you. Stay with us. Yes, sir.
I wish to once again commend the frontline workers across the country who, on a daily basis, risk everything to ensure we win this fight. For those who got infected in the line of duty, rest assured that government will do all it takes to support you and your families during this exceedingly difficult period. I will also take this opportunity to assure you all that your safety, well-being, and welfare remains paramount to our government. I am using this opportunity to express our deepest condolences to the families of all Nigerians that have lost their loved ones as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is our collective loss, and we share your grief.
Data plan. All existing Glow customers now enjoy up to 20% more data. Dial *777# to choose a plan. Glow Unlimited.
Last year, QuickTellers ad campaign was fantastic. This year, we have to go bigger. Imagine, we open on me in my estate. Suddenly we hear, it's my ride. Just because I pay my bills on time using QuickTeller, they never stop my ride.
Okay, wait. You see this slick car in front of a global mall. A fine babe gets out of the car. Guess who? I shop from stores in the US and UK, and I always get what I want on QuickTeller Global Mall.
I have an even better idea. We see me and my boy driving. Yeah. And then I see some kids. What are you guys doing?
No fees, no school.
No fees, no school? You know what? You go to school. And then you go to school. And I'm paying for your school fees on QuickTeller. Great ideas. Don't worry about the cost. Everything is possible with QuickTeller. And then it takes all the credit.
Just like last year.
QuickTeller. Everyday payments made easy.
Human resource.
Hey, tell them. They told me you are the best around here.
What can I do for you, sir?
I want my own very, very simple. I don't want any shine. If I see any shine.
Actually, I'd love some sequins on my skirt. And I don't like any frills.
I beg, I want frills on mine, but it must not be too tight.
Tight! That tight now, that is what I want. And the transition.
Oh, you know what? I want a gown.
Me too. I want a gown.
You know what GMS are this for coming? Hey. Did you capture all the information?
Of course not.
Actually. Fantastic.
I give my customers what they love because everyone has their unique style. So why should they wear the same thing? Just like MTN for me, which gives unique data and recharge offers just the way you like it. Just dial *121# and turn up great offers every day.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Power outages have become part of our lives, and life can be a nightmare without power. That's why, now more than ever, you need to take control of your life with Omaha Portables.
The power output of every Omaha generator is exactly as stated in its power rating.
As long as there's Omaha, your home will have the reliable power you thoroughly deserve.
Omaha generator gives us peace of mind because it never fails us.
Omaha Portable Generators, inspired by you. Amazing Bluetooth, gripping 4K, high-def satellite receiver, vibrant colors, make you feel truly immersed in the action. Omaha Television, inspired by you.
Back. The story you're about to watch is a pathetic case. It's about a 31-year-old mother of three, Mariam Haruna, who, after surviving a motor accident with severe burns to show for it, was left to bear the heavy burden of treatment herself. At some point, she could no longer afford the medical bills until a good Samaritan located her. Adiza Muhammad completes the story.
The 31-year-old mother of three, Mariam Haruna, though from a humble background, was very industrious and full of life until tragedy struck on her way to Dambata from Kano. Lucky to be among the few survivors, Mariam Haruna was, however, left with severe burns on her stomach, waist, and down to her thigh, effect of an overheated water from the radiator of ill-fated commercial vehicle. Although she was immediately taken to a hospital for treatment, 2 months later, overwhelmed by her medical bills, Mariam was withdrawn from the facility by her family to this shanty and unhygienic room, an environment where she was attended to by a traditional healer. Obviously poorly managed, Mariam's condition got deteriorated and her already bad situation was made worse with complications. Not being able to handle the situation, the traditional healer sought the help of a medical doctor through his wife, and with the support of a foundation, Mariam is now in the comfort of National Orthopedic Hospital, Dala, where she is receiving treatment.
The doctor said I need to undergo surgery, which we cannot afford.
To undergo these medical processes, Mariam requires about 5 million naira to be on her feet again. She is therefore appealing to Nigerians to come to her aid to be able to undergo the medical resuscitation and rehabilitation.
She presented with a year history of a burns wound to both thighs, trying to build up by transfusing some pints of blood. I've been bedridden for some time. Because of that, she has had some deformity to both knees that is also preventing her from walking, which we also need to work on.
More worrisome is that Mariam's mother, who has been taking care of her 3 children, has also been diagnosed of renal failure. So spare a thought for Mariam Haruna today by donating your widow's mite to foot her medical bills.
What for Miriam is urgent. Let's show some love in cash and kind. The mystery surrounding the suspected murder of 22-year-old Vera Waila Omozua is what the police in Benin is trying to unravel. Ogochukwu Ona reports that the deceased, who was found in a pool of blood, was a student of the University of Benin.
Church where the late Waila was said to be using as her library
for the past 3 years until the fateful Wednesday, 27th May, ironically on a day when the country was celebrating children. Reports have it that she went to read as usual when unknown men attacked and raped her inside the church and hit her with a fire extinguisher, leaving her unconscious. She later died Saturday night.
Like around 4, 5 or so, I don't know. She was about leaving, so that was how some group of guys came. They apprehended her, they raped her, she was badly raped and badly injured. So she was they said that she was screaming, badly injured. According to they said that the security man was asking her, where is the girl that collected the key that she wanted to go and read? That's what I heard. Where is the girl that collected the key to the venue, to the church that she wanted to go and read?
Now the evening my woman come, something after 7. And the SSWT happened. See me, the rape girl for the altar of the church. This can't never happen before, never happened. I never heard this country here before.
The death of the 22-year-old undergraduate is however raising concern as the Students' Union Government and National Association of Nigerian Students of the University of Benin have besieged the crime scene and are demanding justice for Waila.
Nigerian students are saying no to this ugly incident.
I can feel the pain when this is happening. I can imagine how bad it is for my fellow students to be crying.
The mood at the family compound is expectedly not a good one, with scores of sympathizers. And here with me is the father of this girl.
The hand was being tied and her mouth was being tied. She was a virgin, 22 years, a virgin. It was the hospital that discovered this.
It's heartbreaking. It's horrible. Very calm and withdrawn.
The pastor of the church, according to investigation, has been arrested by the divisional headquarters of the police, Igboba Hill, Benin City. Meanwhile, Governor Godwin Obaseki has ordered police investigation into the death of Waila.
Investigations continue, and we are crossing our fingers for a quick update. A 30-year-old woman, Obioma Ogbu, is currently in pains at a private clinic in Minna, Niger State, after alleged physical assault from her supposed husband. Her plea for justice, the mother of 4 called on the law to stop her alleged abuser from walking freely after attempting to murder her. Fatima Usman tells us more.
Ogbu was barely attaining adulthood at the age of 17 when she followed Sunday Francis Ogbu down to Minna from Enugu State to settle down with him after paying her bride price.
He just paid a diary that time. So all this time, my people have been telling him to come and do something. He don't want to go.
The non-fulfillment of other customary and religious marriage rites was not any hitch as they maintained a happy home and became a family of 6 with 4 children. All remained rosy until 2 years ago.
About 2 years ago, I've been having issues. He said I should go home, I should leave his house and go home. He just started maltreating me. So then he beat me with a machete that time. So I now go home. He now went and married another woman. So I was 3 months pregnant, so I nursed the baby.
And so the battering continued as Chioma alleges the police have been in the picture of her plight. She said the most recent assault opened her eyes to life-threatening dangers should she continue to live with Sunday.
Went to my father and I told him that he should stop it. He should kill me first before he will kill my mother. That if not, I should not kill my mother. And I begged him. And I told him that I told my mother that she should go out of his house. That she should go out of his house. If not, she will kill us.
They know that this thing has been happening, and this man keep repeating it, and he's still threatening to do more.
Given the the accusation of Obioma and her family on the Nigerian police force of allowing Sunday Ogbu work freely, NTA News took up the Niger State Police Public Relations Officer on the case.
It's a case of criminal force and assault and causing hurts, and the police made a frantic effort in arresting the husband. After we were able to arrest the suspect was granted bail to a qualified surety.
We have committees for litigation, so definitely they will file the case before the court for domestic violence.
You might be wondering why Obioma has not left Sunday all the while.
At a time when I would just want to go, people will be saying I should stay because of my children. I should not leave my children with another woman. I don't want, because I don't want to die. It's only God that just helped me out of this one. So if I can get a place I can stay with my children, I will be fine.
At the time NTA News visited the house of the couple, the entrance was locked, while the first son of the couple attempted to gain entrance, even with the supposed key of the residence, but proved abortive.
And needs justice, and we hope she gets it. Away from crime, we can't say it enough. The lockdown is an effective strategy to contain the spread of COVID-19. And in the words of correspondent Abdul Wahid Bibiri, people are the legs of coronavirus. I quite agree. If you stay indoors, the virus won't have legs to move around. There's no better way to give the stay-home directive more clarity. But there are people who can't comply with this rule. They are the destitute and the mentally challenged persons who roam about. Abdul will report from his jurisdiction in Ilori what the Kwara State government is doing about this group of citizens.
It was a Gestapo-like operation when the committee saddled with the evacuation of vagabonds on the street went to business in Ilorin. John Godspower is a well-known mentally challenged man, having been roaming about the metropolis for over 10 years. Though he was not known to be violent, the expertise with which the catcher got him caught my attention.
I don't know the name of these people. I know that here is Star of Raymond, but here is Lagos.
All right, where are they taking you to?
Me, I'm waiting for an aeroplane to carry me back to where I came from.
I'm smoking DIM, so they catch it off my hand. I learned weather. As I finished weather, I went there, I go smoke. So my father said that I should be there, smoke. If I come, I will shoot me. That's why.
What do you smoke?
Leaf, original leaf.
The committee set up by government is headed by the owner of a private traditional psychiatric home, Folorunsho Saliu. As much as the vagabond sense danger, citing the members of the committee.
Kwara State government is evacuating lunatic and street beggars in order not to spread the coronavirus COVID-19.
Olorunsho Psychiatric Home, where they are relocated, is a private initiative with which the government is collaborating. The condition at which inmates live at Olorunsho Psychiatric Home is nothing to write home about, but the collaboration becomes inevitable as the government rehabilitation center is under renovation.
There's a need for us to evacuate the lunatic and the destitute that are moving around because if these people can be attacked by this COVID-19, it can easily spread out, so that we don't want our people to involve in this.
The inmates sleep on bare floor without mattress, and the home is not connected to public electricity supply. The center is open to external attack without a perimeter fencing, while the only motorized borehole available is shared with members of the host community. The initiator of the home, Folorunsho Saliu, who led the evacuation, inherited the skill and converted it to charity work.
We want government to do perimeter fencing of the center for smooth operation. We also need support in the area of feeding.
For the beggars, they are restricted to Gambari area, a neighborhood where they are mostly populated in the capital. The idea of evacuating the mentally challenged people and beggars from the streets in the state capital is a preventive measure in view of the possibility of these wanderers transmitting the deadly coronavirus.
State government has done the extraordinary. It's quite easy to forget that the destitute should also stay safe. The next story is about an issue that keeps attracting global condemnation. Although the practice is illegal, it has continued till date, with perpetrators flying under the radar across international borders. In this case, the alleged culprit plays a victim in a precarious situation, not minding that they had a close connection. Annie Daniels reports.
A friend of mine told me that he has slots for maids. And I replied, I don't do maid. As a matter of fact, I don't have people for it. So in course of that this lady is the same office with us, she put up interest that I should please assist her. And I told her, are you willing? She said, yes, she's willing. I said, okay, in that case, I have no money to give you. And all I'm saying right now is nothing but the truth to God Almighty. So I have no money to give you, but if you want my help in this way, I will do it.
That was 36-year-old human trafficking suspect narrating his relationship with a victim of human trafficking. The 26-year-old victim had taken to a social media platform to cry for assistance to return to Nigeria after being confronted with huge, exploitative and unbearable servitude in Oman. No thanks to her mutual friend, the suspect.
She's not lost to NAPTIP. She may have been lost to the trafficker. Because of exploitation, she shifted base. But NAPTIP is able to locate her even by where she is.
The suspect denies every allegation, insisting that the victim was only paying for her attitude to her employers in Oman.
Sometimes she absconded from her first boss. And I asked why. She was like, it is because the children, they can shout. Because the children can shout. That means our passport and our residence was with her originally, was not collected. So I now ask her, how did you abscond? How possible? And are you with your passport and are you with your international passport and your visa? Because working on the foreign country illegally, it has implication.
Luck, however, ran out of the victim when her boss's wife found out she was having an affair with her husband.
Now that she even said at a point that she felt the woman has suspected her. This Adetula Oluwatosin, that the woman has suspected her, that she had to send a voice note to her just to sense if she knows what is going on between her and her husband. So I said, okay. I said, now, he said, that is because she's now afraid of what that woman could do to her as an Arabic woman. That is why she did the video, to gain sympathy and to fasten her coming back to Nigeria.
The NAPTIP boss has a warning to those in search of greener pastures where they may never find one.
The advent of COVID-19 has presented another opportunity for mindless traffickers to deceive youth with promise of jobs due to the heavy casualties recorded by some of the destination countries. It is important for them to be careful and weigh every offer before taking any decision.
NAPTIP is doing so much tracking down traffickers. We can assist by reporting perpetrators in our vicinity. Next up, once upon a time, not too long ago though, many parents forbade their children and wards from using smartphones for fear of abuse and easy access to censored materials on the internet. Today, no thanks to COVID-19, utilizing that same technology has become the only platform for teaching and learning. Onengiye Fineface questions a few aspects of this trend, bordering on access, impacts, and opportunities.
These dead leaves once blossomed as sprouting evidence of hard work. It's a student agriculture project abandoned and dead. COVID-19 has forced its owner and occupants of these seats home. Even the library now needs a little bit of noise, just as classrooms yearn for students. Godfrey Wogu, a security guard in a school, now understands better the pleasure of disturbance from children.
Everywhere is lonely. Here we are feeling lonely. We don't see anybody to talk with. We don't see children to play with. Honestly, I am not happy for it.
COVID-19 has brought about a lot of changes in school affairs, in school running, in school activities. Like I advise a parent that will you please drop the phone for your son. This same parent, like 3 months ago, that I told not to buy a phone for the child. It's exactly a paradox, but now we don't have a choice.
Schools have now moved to homes. Anthony Igbagri, a parent, doubles as a teacher.
It hasn't been easy either, because we as parents at home, we also need to buy data for our children to use the internet to answer their questions.
I like it because they used to send me questions. There are 20 questions. That's 100 points, 20 questions for me to answer. So anytime I fail, they just give me corrections. So I can revise them back, search it on the web again.
Students, though, still prefer the ambience of a classroom.
Unlike school, it is interactive and fun and easy learning. But now, the teachers send assignment, and it doesn't make us learn faster.
Because that one I'm interactive, I can ask the teacher and say, is it like this? Am I supposed to, is it supposed to be like this? I can ask the teacher, but at home now, I can't ask the teacher anything.
Though the leaves of this agric project are dead, those in the school farm struggle to grow amid weeds. And Godfrey remains optimistic that the lost willpower of these buses will regain life to drive his students back to school when the virus is contained.
The new normal requires compromise. However, there are apps that can block adult materials, okay? Let's embark on a break. Be there when we return.
GoTV dey your side as times dey tough so. We don't see your loyalty and we appreciate the journey where we don't work out together. That na why GoTV dey sama you with better upgrade to the next package as you stay connected or reconnect. We dey your side with correct entertainment. You fit save up to 75% because now we. Not to stay connected or reconnect, GoTV go upgrade you at no extra cost. Wow! Stay connected with GoTV self-service payment options. Visit GoTVAfrica.com to gather more information about this better discount and our payment options. GoTV dey your side. Enjoy GoTV Wow Awoof. GoTV. Live it. Love it.
Welcome, dear. Have you washed your hands?
Inside my house again. This thing not the key black man.
I don't know if it's misinformation or poor hygiene that will kill you first. Coronavirus is real, and good hygiene practice will save your life. Anyway, no hand washing, no eating.
I will not take care of it. How's one of the parents?
Coronavirus is real and it's on the rise. But you can help yourself and help others to be safe. Remember, we can stop the spread. It's in your hands.
This message is from the Akinfade Foundation in partnership with the National Orientation Agency with support from MacArthur Foundation.
Welcome back. Seplat Petroleum Development Company PLC, one of the leading independent oil and natural gas producers in Nigeria, has announced a final dividend distribution of $59 million with 10 cents per share payable to its shareholders for the 2019 financial year. Chairman, Board of Directors, Dr. ABC Ojako, stated this at the company's 7th annual general meeting in Lagos. Imoli Ayotokide has details.
Shareholders and the management of Seplat Petroleum Development Company PLC are gathered here to analyze the financial performance of Seplat Petroleum PLC for the year 2019. The resilience of Seplat management towards achieving an excellent performance resulted in an increase in profit before tax of $293 million and $277 million profit after tax, as against the $147 million generated in 2018. As an indigenous gas production company committed to providing the essential commodity to homes, it also grew its revenue in gas to $203 million from $156 million in 2018, with capital investments of $125 million in 2019. The Chief Executive Officer of the company, Austin Avuru, while keeping shareholders abreast of the company's financial records for the year under review, assured them of management's resolve to deliver higher production for the year 2020.
We continue to invest in capital expenditure, increase our reserves and production through drilling, and then this is complemented by acquisition. That has amounted to major reserves additions.
The Chairman, Board of Directors, Dr. ABC Ojako, highlights ongoing plans to enable Seplat to position itself for an ambitious next phase of growth, which would aid expansion of its footprint in terms of energy business activities, as well as foster opportunity-driven entry into different geographies.
The board has made it mandatory that we continuously review the cash flow situation of the company, the liquidity status, balance sheet strength, and all of that. If you shorten wealth, it will mean that things are going completely south.
Seplat reassures shareholders that amidst the current headwinds caused by the prevailing coronavirus pandemic and the drop in oil price, the company will continue to maintain strict financial discipline over investment decisions and ensure effective management of risks with a strong health, safety, environment culture.
The 57th African Day celebration was held during the week, echoing the desire and zeal of Africa to make a clean break from the norms of poverty and disease towards rapid development. Adeniyi Taiwo reports that the current measure of success recorded in the war against COVID-19 by the continent appears to have rekindled confidence in many possibilities of homegrown development.
54 nations strong and about 1.4 billion population, Africa is the second largest continent in the world and home to the black race.
There is a day that we celebrate African Day, but I don't know the actual date.
African man is somebody look fine, look gay, and there is nothing wrong with that person.
This is the Vine.
Zambia's first president, Kenneth Kaunda, is 96 years old now. The last of his generation of freedom fighters, the author of the book, Zambia Shall Be Free, is credited with saving Zambia from the trauma of post-independence civil war and championing the cause of the young continent.
Dancing to the Vine.
With the formation of the Organization of African Unity, OAU, on May 25, 1963, the continent has pursued development, first through seeking the independence of colonized territories, then unity, and later socio-economic development and prosperity of the continent.
In Africa, there is no inter-country war. For once in our lifetimes, African countries are now united.
Quite a lot of Africans, especially Nigerians, if you look at the record in US, in UK, European countries, they will tell you that Nigerians in particular, we are really trying and they are doing well in various disciplines of education.
Our rich history, vast potential, and regional bodies' effort notwithstanding, Africa is still largely regarded as a developing continent that is caught up in the web of dependency with its economic policies and activities, mostly tied to the apron strings of developed nations of the world.
Such domination has decimated this continent, scattered us abroad, and basically limited our progress.
While Africa's economic outlook for 2020 indicates improved growth fundamentals driven by increase in investment, rise in debt, poor human capital, and inadequate inclusive growth are some of the challenges. The way out, some say, is a paradigm shift from dependence on foreign model of development to homegrown solutions.
To have African values highlighted in a world that is increasingly growing global is of vital necessity for the continued existence of the continent.
We have all it takes to compete with one of the best economy in the world. Please take, for example, the first television station in Nigeria happened even before countries like France will have a television station.
Impressed by Africa's response to the COVID-19 challenge so far, they say the path to sustainable development lies within.
We've been able to cope with the challenges of this pandemic. Quite a lot of the challenges that we are having mainly is purely on the economy. And I thank God that the government has done well by inviting the private sector too.
Gone were the days when we say Europe is underdeveloping Africa. Even when the Madagascar president is taking the lead, no, we have the cure for this. What is African Union doing?
As Africa looks forward to a new decade as one prosperous and unified continent, it is expected that the Brotherhood of Nations will work out better synergy that would aid its socio-economic, cultural and technological advancement.
It's all about looking inwards. Thanks, Adeniyi. As part of activities commemorating the 2020 International Africa Day, the African Union of Broadcasting, in partnership with One Project, put together a virtual music concert which featured different African artists to create awareness on COVID-19 pandemic on the African continent.
Hey, mama, Africa. Music, they say, has always been a unifying force and a positive tool for change. That is why the 2020 International Africa Day was celebrated in a unique way as various African artists put on a music show to raise their voices on the awareness of COVID-19 pandemic in Africa. For Africa. The virtual musical concert was put together by African Union of Broadcasting in collaboration with One Project with the aim of sensitization on the risk of COVID-19 infection and to engage in collective efforts to curb the spread of the virus.
Today we are facing a pandemic called COVID-19. It is threatening our humanity, our solidarity, our society. But one thing I believe is that if we come together, we can beat this pandemic.
Africa must rise above this as we have done with every previous challenge. Together as one, I know we shall overcome. And if music be the food of love, let us play on.
On vit, on y croit, made in Africa. Quand on bouffe, quand on boit, made in Africa. C'est pas un thème, c'est une profession de foi. On le dit, on y voit tous les jours, made in Africa.
Due to the spread of the virus, the African civil society and its diaspora are mobilizing to combat the health and social consequences of the coronavirus pandemic in Africa.
Your health is your wealth, no one can deny.
Brilliant concert there. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you're enjoying the program. Time to take another break. Be right back.
A united Nigeria,
strong in the fight
against COVID-19, to bring a voice of hope, to join hands to bring an end to this pandemic.
Kandidiko hafiasi akwadara n'otu aka ka ndị nwere ikike ịhụ maka ahụike si dịkwa nkwadebe maka ọgụ a.
Ní ayé àtijọ́, a farapamọ́ lábẹ́ àpáta Olúmọ, a sì borí ogun náà. Àkókò tó láti farapamọ́ sínú ilé.
Mu ci gaba da kaɗaita juna, kuma mu kiyaye wuraren da akwai cunkoson mutane.
mukumulo pipa pizinko lokachile
womele ya mevogja wohula bowe kokekokyo wojeseli sanitizer wohula bowe
fulbe ballen ko emeden kawten juudne kaben dun nyaw coronavirus daroden e wuro ballen gomnati ballen ko emeden dun nyaw dun waray dun dillay.
One Nigeria, different languages, and we shall surely prevail.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, Nigerian Film Corporation, powering possibilities in partnership with Nigerian Television Authority. You can't beat the rich.
We have observed the lockdown. We have practiced the measures in order to curb the spread of the virus, but we can do better. The coronavirus spread is increasing daily, and only together can we cut down the numbers and defeat the spread of the virus. Remember, COVID-19 is not a death sentence, and a recovered patient cannot spread the disease. Do not stigmatize. Do not hesitate to report any case, or if you have come in contact with anybody that has been infected with COVID-19. If you have cough and fever, please stay at home and call your state hotline. Find state numbers at www.covid19.ncdc.gov.ng. Remember, it is for your own good and for the good of every Nigerian. Let us do better and defeat the virus. Together, we can do this. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Action. Make your home the place to be with GoTV's super cool kids channels.
That sounds fun.
From funky friends that'll keep even the little ones busy.
All right, everybody, let's do this!
To learn as you watch educational shows for curious young minds.
You can do some amazing things.
There's plenty for everyone. Tune in to our kids shows and get everything you need to keep the kids entertained and learning the fun way. GoTV. Live it, love it.
As a strong immune system increases the chances of victims surviving COVID-19, a corruption-free society creates opportunities for citizens to thrive and prosper. Build your immunity. Stop corruption now. Report all acts of corruption to ICPC on this toll-free number 0800 2255 4272. This message is brought to you by ICPC and NTA.
25th February 2020, Nigeria. It is real. It is a nightmare. It is killing people all over the world. It is COVID-19. Compliance with the various states in Nigeria, the current measures will flatten the curves. Shutting down is not an act of wickedness, but an act to save lives. Stay home, stay safe. Observe social distance. Always put on a face mask while leaving your house. Make sure you are on the tricycle alone. Cars and buses cannot carry more than half their passengers.
Always remember to wash your hands. Together, we will defeat COVID-19. This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, Nigerian Film Corporation, powering possibilities.
The number of the COVID-19 cases in Nigeria is increasing daily, with many more tests ongoing. The battle of testing, isolating, treating, and attending to the affected persons rests heavily on the shoulders of our health workers, constantly putting their lives on the line and at risk to contain this virus, save and protect the lives of millions of Nigerians. To these health workers, we at the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, on behalf of millions of Nigerians, say a big thank you for all that you have done and are doing. To the security agencies enforcing the lockdown and every other frontliner, we say thank you for putting your lives on the line to save ours. There is no amount of words that can quantify our gratitude. Thank you. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Before being there, Bringing up a child is an enormous job. Apart from equipping them academically and morally, parents are expected to teach their children how to be financially responsible. This aspect will be examined by Sowese Agu in this report.
Care responsibility begins by understanding that everyone has responsibilities to manage his or her resources properly. Children are not left out in this case, as money and budgeting has a significant role to play in their lives only if they are taught how to manage funds from ages 3 to 7. Some experts say it is important to introduce children at an early age to savings by teaching them various methods of saving money and also prepare their minds as soon as they can read and write. Parents on their part say training a child on methods of saving and excess spending is a welcome idea.
Being a mother, I can speak from personal experience. I believe that as soon as children can read and write, when we start talking about sending them to school, we need to teach them how to save, how to budget. They need to learn that it's not everything you want in life you can get.
I feel once a child gets to GSS 1, which is at 10 to 11, that child should learn to spend, should know about budget, because he or she is in school and you are giving stipends maybe for your upkeep in school. You should be able to know how to spend that money. So it is expected that every parent should teach his or her child that you need to save from whatever you are given.
Teaching children the benefits of waiting can also aid them in their decisions to always be patient in life.
Point is that parents must cover all grounds when it comes to training a child. Let's talk about books now. Apart from academic reasons, we read for entertainment, information, and of course, motivation. But are you aware that literature can serve as a tool for social change? Ruth Aguele, who happens to be a die-hard bookworm, will tell us how in this report.
We keep flipping through the pages of our own stories, just as life continues to give us meaning with the things we do, see, or even read. They said books are the window to the world, and writers are seen as mirror of the society. They are the orchestrators who foretell the future through the power of their pen. Nigeria has many potential, and a good number of world-celebrated creative works are domiciled in Nigeria. For some of these writers, writing isn't just an art, but a tool for social change, and this is evident in this therapeutic work by Bashirat Abdul-Wahab.
So we have a lot of dysfunctional people who have been through a hurt so that they can find themselves again. Because the effects of, having a dysfunctional population, especially mentally and emotionally, is that they transfer these dysfunctions to other people.
While Bashirat is using her book to heal certain persons in the society, T.J. Benson, on the other hand, aspires to fill some form of vacuum he says has been ignored by society.
Over the years, with wonderful works of literature published by several other authors, we have been able to have access into other lives and look at our country as a whole, how we came to be, where we are now, and what can happen.
As writers continue to create a world with ideas, picturing stories that resonate with our identity, how much attention has society given to these ideologies captured in literary works?
Nigeria is a country that has so many divisions: Christian, Muslim, Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba. But when I read somebody else's story, I suddenly see that I share a lot in common with them. So it creates what we call empathy, which is very important for building a community. That's the power of a story.
Book is in the heart of every nation. And that any nation that neglects writing is, toying with a potent, transformation aspect of the whole country. Through writing, you can get so many things done.
Regardless, a renowned author and activist, Karen De Croo, once said, "No matter what is happening in life or the world, be it war, natural disaster, poor health, pain, or even death of a loved one, if existence is filled with art, music, and literature, life would be fulfilling, a journey.
And if you want to be self-educated, cultivate the habit of reading. No shortcuts. One last break before curtain call. Stay tuned.
Nigerians, let us take responsibility. Stay healthy, stay safe, and curb the spread of the virus. Take responsibility. The coronavirus spreads from one person to another. Let us avoid crowd gathering of any kind for any reason. Take responsibility. Avoid traveling from one state to another during these lockdown restrictions. Obey all the rules that are put in place. Take responsibility. Stop spreading fake news and unverified reports about the coronavirus. There is no known cure for COVID-19. Take responsibility. Observe all the measures that can help stop the spread of the virus. Together, we can do this, but only if we take responsibility. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Shegun. Alpha, say tomorrow still day on.
What's your tomorrow?
Community meeting now.
You know they here, Abi?
Now beggy. See, if we meet for my house, inside parlor, then go no.
This COVID-19 is not a child's play.
If you want to elect the new secretary, we fit to
Do one for WhatsApp, or for Skype, or even on Zoom. Or we just wait.
I will not negotiate
this social distancing. It is not negotiable.
Not every infected person shows symptoms, but every infected person is contagious. Avoid large gatherings and self-isolate if you think you might have come in contact with a carrier. Your safety and the safety of others is in your hands.
This message is from the Akinfade Foundation in partnership with the National Orientation Agency with support from MacArthur Foundation.
Has taken a new turn for an indigent widow in Aigba, Kogi State. Aladi Achemu Agama has every reason to be thankful as some compassionate Nigerians came to her rescue after a rainstorm rendered her homeless. Correspondent Ayodele Ibigbemi was there for Newsline.
The story of Aladi Achemu Agama, a poor-aged widow and victim of a rainstorm which destroyed her house in Abuja area and the Kenya local government area, has changed forever. A petty trader who survives from picking palm fruits to process palm oil to sell to cater for her family of 7 with none of her children gainfully employed. An eyewitness and neighbor, Haruna Shoaibu, said the 4-room building of Aladi Achemu Agama was destroyed by a rainstorm on the 3rd of April 2020. He said 4 days later, he posted Mama Aladi's destroyed building on his Facebook page, which caught the attention of an NGO, Thoughtful Touch Foundation.
So from there, the founder came down all the way from Abuja to Albany, confirmed the incident.
Founder, Thoughtful Touch Foundation, Blessing Olofu Ojenen, visited the scene, and in confirming the incident, she swung into action immediately. The rebuilding exercise include demolition and construction work, roofing and painting supervised by the foundation.
I saw Mama's situation. It was not a pleasant one. So I started talking to some of our trustees and partners. We were able to rally around, and today we are here. We have renovated the house. It's completed to the glory of God, and we are praying and hoping that Mama lives long in good health to enjoy her new renovated house.
Aladi Achemu is now proud owner of a newly constructed 4-bedroom house. Friends, well-wisher and the children in Abuja area community were full of joy for the goodwill.
The person who come do the house for us, I don't know him, but God will bless him for us. Even to me personally, I think this is the first time I've even heard of
some individuals or groups of people making this to a poor lady who cannot even afford to even buy a sheet of zinc. For an NGO to come and complete a complete house like this, it's still a shock for the community as a whole.
For the people here, they urge the government and other spirited individuals to emulate this life-touching gesture.
To that foundation for changing the fortunes of the widow. Next up, following guidelines for burial ceremonies in Lagos State, the family of late Honorable Oladipo Sunday Fashade gathered to pay their last respects to an unforgettable icon. They did this in a private ceremony at Ikoyi Vaults and Gardens in Lagos. Imole Ayotogede has details.
After spending 86 fruitful years on earth, Honorable Oladipo Sunday Fashade passed on, leaving behind his cherished loved ones. The funeral service, attended by only 20 members of the deceased family, was streamed live to other family members and friends across the globe. In our homily, Pastor Olugbenga Sholaja of Grace Redemption Assembly International relived the life and times of the departed and enjoined the congregation to emulate his sterling qualities.
Baba impacted life. What's your impact in life?
An interment followed immediately as they bid him farewell.
In his last days, during this corona period, he called us every morning to ask how we were doing.
It was the best. He was my friend, my confidant, my succor.
He's a man who loves peace. He's a great man, extraordinary great man.
A nice man has gone. May his soul rest in perfect peace.
Born on September 24, 1933 at Ijero, Ekiti, to the family of Fashade of Odole Chieftaincy House in Ilesha, Osun State, and Prince Ojo Adelabu of Onyinyo ruling house of Ijero, Ekiti in Ekiti State, late Honorable Oladipo Sunday Fashade worked with the Port Authority as a dock worker in 1955 and later became the editor of the Port Workers Union Journal. He studied journalism in the United Kingdom and practiced for 12 years, working as a commentator on sports and current affairs for Radio Nigeria and the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA. He later obtained a degree in law at the University of Lagos in 1966 and was called to the Nigerian bar in 1970. He delved into politics, becoming a member of the Action Group, working closely with the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo. The late Honorable Oladipo Sunday Fashade passed away on Friday 15th of May 2020 after a brief illness, leaving behind children, grandchildren, and siblings.
May his soul rest in perfect peace. Amen. It's time to call it a day on Newsline. Thanks for watching. I can't wait to see you again next week. Good night and God bless Nigeria.